How do you start your day? How do you end your day? We have no problem doing the day. Well, the problem we have is how we start it and how we end it. You see, the way you start something informs on what foundation you've built the day on. The way you end the day informs how you're anchoring yourself for that particular day. There is one particular aspect of life which is connected to our productivity, which is connected to our success, and we are always oblivious of this. We are always doing life without it, always moving, doing activities without it, and yet it is linked to our prosperity, it is linked to our success. And that idea is simply the idea of meditation. In this episode, we're going to look at one more way in which you can carry out this so-called meditation. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So let us get some perspective first of all before we can continue with this. We've seen that if there is something that God talks about directly in terms of you becoming successful, there are very many inferences in the Bible where there is people talking about prosperity or where prosperity has been mentioned. You can get more than 40 inferences or instances in the Bible where there is prosperity. Only a few of those places, only a few of those verses have God himself directly talking about prosperity. And when he does, he mentions meditation. He talks about meditation. Therefore, it is important for us to look at this practice of meditation and do it and learn as much as we can. We've also seen in very many episodes here that we are not necessarily talking about the Eastern mystic kind of meditation where it's purely religious and you like emptying yourself and so on. You know, people, when you talk to people about meditation, they think that way. And we've redefined meditation to say that meditation is simply the ruminating on something in your mind consciously. Positive conscious thought, positive conscious mindfulness of anything. And we've said that there is an input into your meditation. There is a process into your meditation. We've said that the more you meditate, the more your mind becomes stronger. We've said very many times here that there is the invisible world and then there is the visible world. And meditation links the two. That the more you meditate, the more you unearth some things that are hidden inside of you. And the more you unearth some things that are hidden even in the invisible divine world. And if we are not meditating, we are not anchoring ourselves or not deepening ourselves in order for us to be successful. There's some things we might be missing for this. So after saying all that stuff, the question will be, how in the world are you going to do the meditation? If you're saying that meditation is not an Eastern mystic thing, let me say this, that meditation is not just for the spiritual people. And yet, success, if you look at it from the angle of success, you see that it is a spiritual aspect, that success is not necessarily some physical, empirical thing only. Success begins in the in the invisible world, and it's transferred into the empirical world. And the way we transfer this is through mindfulness, through minding to concentrate, minding to meditate, minding to bring those things that we desire, the things that we wish, the things that we aspire to have, to see, to do, to become, the places we want to go, and so on. And the more we ruminate on these things, the more we dwell on these things, the more we bring them into the psyche of our spirit and into our mind and into our intellect and into our hearts and into our passion, and then we can be able to act on them. We have no problem taking action. The kind of action that we need to take should be informed, however, by the kind of meditation and the kind of thinking that we've been able to create over time. And therefore, if you're going to meditate, you're going to be intentional, you're going to be deliberate about it. And one of the things you're going to do about your meditation is to dream and to visualize, to think of the things that have not become, the things that have not yet come to pass, the things that you are dreaming about, the things that you are wishing, the things that you are desiring to have. And you just constantly think about this and bring them to your mind, the position that you wanted to have, the kind of family that you wanted to have, the kind of bliss that you wanted to have, the kind of prosperity that you want to have, the kind of success that you wanted to have, the places that you wanted to visit, and the impact that you wanted to have. You think about these things, whatever things are noble, whatever things are true, whatever things are of pure report, whatever things are, all these things, you think of them, things that are having virtue, you think about them in a conscious, positive way. And now, once you've done that, the second thing we've said that you do when it comes to meditation is to think. Thinking, active thinking. When we come to active thinking, we are talking about conscious. You see, this is more for an intellectual aspect of meditation than the spiritual aspect. The spiritual aspect is the thinking of the projection, the things that are not, the things that you're desiring, the dreaming. But the thinking becomes conscious, it becomes an intellect part where you're actively determining some things, and maybe you're having a piece of paper and a pen and you're writing some things down and you're turning ideas around. That is the active thinking before the day begins. It even includes the planning of the day and so on. But then the third thing that you can do when you're meditating is to brainstorm. This one is when you are picking on the brains of other people. Someone said that I can use as many brains that I can borrow, and you're thinking together, you're brainstorming over a particular aspect. But yesterday we talked about mindstorming, where you are looking at answering and generating ideas from one question in one sitting, generating more than 20 answers to that question. Normally 100 is a good number. And you force yourself in that one sitting to answer one question through mindstorming. And you'll be shocked if you practice this idea, if you practice this mindstorming, this form of meditation on a daily basis. You'll be shocked at how massive your brain will grow. You'll be shocked at how massive you'll be able to be generating ideas on a particular subject. So I don't know what subject it is that you're passionate about. What you need to do with that subject is to mindstorm. Let's say you're passionate about the subject of purpose. What do you do? On a single day, every single day, what do? You take a piece of paper and a pen and you answer any question about purpose. You write the question down and then you generate 10 ideas about that question on the subject that you're passionate about. By the time you're doing this in a month or even in a year, you are so much ingrained into that subject and you have so much insight into that subject. It will be, mind-boggling to people, and for you it will not be a big deal. But finally, not necessarily finally, today I want us to discuss one more aspect of meditation and mindfulness that you can be able to practice. This is also conscious. This one is not, the spiritual aspect. This is a conscious aspect. This is a business aspect of meditation. And it is about calculations. It is about getting to know numbers. It is about getting to know the projections, getting to know the budgets, getting to know the how many, getting to know the extent of something, getting to clothe the idea that you had in terms of the empiricality, in terms of the numbers that are involved. So it is important for you to have a pen and a paper and a calculator and whatever it is. So you do numbers, you do calculations, you do budgets, you do projections, you learn to work with these numbers. And God is so particular about numbers, so much so that He has a whole book of numbers, where details of things and details of people are actually written down. In fact, when God was issuing instructions about creating of an ark, covenant, or the covenant of the ark, whatever, the ark of the covenant, something of that nature, and even the temple itself, He was so particular about the measures and metrics. You do this, ounces of this and ounces of gold and this and this and this, the dimensions, and so particular about the numbers. This is what we're supposed to steep ourselves into when we're meditating, when you're doing the calculations, when you're doing the budgeting, when you're doing the planning, that we know some of the numbers here that are involved in our pursuits. See, one of the things that we do in life, for the most part, is to move around life without knowing dimensions, without knowing numbers, without knowing quantities, without knowing the things that are involved in terms of the empirical dimensions of the thing. See, we don't know what we want to accomplish, how many we want to accomplish at the end of the day. We don't know how many hours are involved. We don't know how many, how much per hour. We have no clue about these things. We have no clue about how many customers. We have no clue about how much money is supposed to go into a particular thing. We don't know how much. We are just doing life. The kind of meditation I'm talking about here, which is going to be in calculation, make sure that every single one of us needs to have these numbers in place. Net worth, dividends, revenue, profits, expenses, income, savings, all these numbers. When is the last time we really took a hard look on our numbers? And if someone asks you, what are your numbers? What are you going to tell them? You're going to tell them to the degree that you've been able to meditate and calculate, and you have these numbers, and you've been gazing at these numbers actually. See, things of how many kilometers I ran yesterday in 30 minutes. How many kilometers am I going to run this week? How much do we measure our lives? See, the measurement of our lives on the things that we're doing is going to be enhanced if we include numbers in our meditation. And we have the numbers that we are looking at. Today, what numbers are you looking at? For your own individual life, your own personal life, what numbers are you gazing at today, even as you're meditating? Think about that. It informs the kind of actions that you're going to take. And even when you're doing some of these activities, now that you have numbers in place, numbers have a way of telling a story, and numbers have a way of motivating and inspiring us. That's why they give numbers to salespeople. They say, this quarter we need this number. And therefore, when the salesperson goes out there in the streets to do some things, the passion, the delivery, the pursuit of their work is enhanced by the number that they are chasing. And it's important for us to have these numbers in our lives. How many minutes did I spend reading a book? How many minutes did I spend meditating? How many minutes did I spend praying? How many minutes did I spend listening to something constructive, something inspirational? How many minutes in a week? How many minutes in a month? Look at your numbers whenever you are meditating to enhance the kind of life that you're living. Be a human of numbers. In the end, life is a numbers game. When you die, they put their numbers on your tombstone. They talk about how many years you lived. It is a numbers game, and the numbers are deeply spiritual stuff at the end of the day. Numbers are not disconnected from the realm of the spirit. They are there. The moment we entered the realm of time, we also entered the realm of numbers. So let us learn our numbers. Let us gaze at our numbers. Let us learn to have the numbers in place. Tomorrow we're going to come to a close of this wonderful series on meditation. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.